Hello, everyone. This is Phil Yaeger, and welcome to my podcast, CPA Review and More. And it is sponsored, as you hear from, by the Yaeger CPA Review Course, because this is the only way I get to sponsor my course. All right. Now, please note that we look for guests that have interesting backgrounds, areas. All right. And this person today is one of those people. And let me introduce her. All right. And it's Chi. All right. You want to give the rest of the name, Chi?
Yeah, my name is Nguyen-George, and I'm a CPA.
And are you an auditor at Defense Contract Audit Agency? Is that what you do?
Yes, I'm an auditor. So I'm an auditor for the federal government, and the agency is called Defense Contract Audit Agency.
Yeah, I used to give the CPA review course to them in Washington, D.C. All right.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. And actually, one of the graduates not a graduate, one who took my course back in 1979, a long time ago, he became the Auditor General of the United States Army. All right.
Oh, wow.
And now he's
very
retired.
impressive.
Yeah. Nicest guy. And he brought in like 30 people from all over the country because he wanted them to pass the CPA. All right. So it was like a nice little group, 30 people from all over Ohio. Trying to remember where they were all from. But we got to know each other because the course went for 5 months. All right. I used to go in there once a week. And this was in Alexandria, Virginia. I remember that. All right. So I saw that popped up. And Chi, you live in Colorado Springs, is that correct?
Yeah, I was raised here, so I've been here my whole life.
You were raised, really, you were there. How do you like Colorado Springs? I mean, are you a skier? I mean, obviously they don't have the mountains there to ski, correct? But
yeah, so it's a little bit of a drive, but I go occasionally. I'm not like an avid skier or snowboarder, but I like to go at least once a season.
Now, I lived in Colorado, as I told you, for 6 years, and I'm trying to remember. My daughter, all right, went to a sleepaway camp in Estes Park, Colorado. All right. Now, I'm trying to remember, where is Estes Park in relation to Colorado Springs? Do you know?
I think it's like northwest, like around 2-3 hour drive. So it's not too far, but it's a beautiful park, and I love hiking and getting out there. So it's really it's a great place to hike.
Not too many kids can go to a camp like that. We have the Rocky Mountains right behind you, and we visited a place called the Stanley Hotel. You know what that is?
I've heard of it. I haven't been yet. I need to go.
There was a movie with Jack. It was about this. What was a movie where he was crazy? He went crazy. And I don't remember the name of the movie, but it was supposedly part of it was filmed at the Stanley Hotel. And the Stanley Hotel was owned by the gentleman who started the Stanley Steamer, the car company.
Oh, right? That's so random.
Yes, and he moved to Estes Park because of his allergies and asthma. All right. So anyway, it's a beautiful, you can stay there. At the time we went there, they were just reopening it because it had gone bankrupt. All right. But it's a beautiful hotel. It's very Victorian. I liked it. So, I recommend anybody out there, if you go to Estes Park, Colorado, beautiful area. All right. In fact, any area of Colorado is beautiful. The mountain areas, I love the mountain areas, Breckenridge, all those. And by the way, I went to Colorado when I was older. And what I mean by that is I tried skiing. All right. Oh. Now, you don't do well in skiing when you start at an older age. My daughter was maybe 10 years old. All right. She could ski on the black slopes, which is the hardest slopes, the moguls, which are all those holes, whatever. All right. But she loved it. And unfortunately, she went skiing twice up in Breckenridge and Vail, and she tore her ACL in both legs. I'll never forget that. But anyway,
wow.
She tore her thing. But anyway, it's a beautiful area, Colorado. And the one thing I must say, if you're thinking about moving there, housing is very expensive. All right. And also very short supply of inventory, I understand, as far as housing goes. All right. So if you have real estate in Colorado, it's gone up in value, hasn't it?
Oh yeah. I was lucky I bought our house a couple years ago before it got crazy, because it used to not be like this. Like the houses were very affordable, rent was very affordable, but it's been booming the last few years. And now the housing price has gone up, rent, everything. So it's gone up quite a bit.
Yeah, because when we left in 88, all right, it was a real buyer's market. And we barely were able to sell it at the price we bought it for. All right. And that was like $126,000. All right. That house today is worth over 500,000. It's ridiculous. Totally
Oh yeah.
ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah,
But you
I'm
know what?
sure.
I had a view. I didn't have a direct view. If I went outside, I saw the Rocky Mountains. All right. It looks like a sort of like a painting, you know, that's how nice it is. All right.
It
But,
is. It
yeah,
is
it
really
is.
beautiful.
I don't think I realized how nice it was when I was there. Took it for granted. All right. But tell us your background. You, and by the way, we've spoken before, you actually were born in Vietnam, right?
Yeah, I was. I came when I was a baby.
Right. And what city were you born in?
I was born in like 30 minutes outside Saigon. It's a city called Phu Duc.
Okay. And at that time, was the war over? I guess it was. And there was no fighting going on, was there?
No, so I was born in the 90s, so the war was way over. My mom was actually a refugee of the war, so we actually stayed in a refugee camp in the Philippines for about a year, and then we came to adjust, and then we came to the U.S. and settled in Colorado Springs, and have been here since.
Actually, the area now, like for example, Saigon,
Mhm.
Ho Chi Minh, is that a city, Ho Chi Minh? I'm trying to remember.
It's the same. It's the same name. It's our same city, but different names.
And if you go there now, I mean, because I don't know if you've watched this TV show, House Hunters International, but people will relocate from someplace
Yeah,
in the States and they go to Vietnam. And they have unbelievably high-rise modern buildings. All right. It is so different from when that war was going on. All right.
Mhm.
But it's a beautiful city. Probably the only thing that would bother me would be the heat and humidity.
Yeah, yeah. When my family goes back like every 5 years, and I take a shower like 3 to 5 times a day because I'm just so hot. I'm not used to it being out here in Colorado.
You need a hose to carry around with you, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Where's your husband was born where? Where's your husband from?
He's from Arkansas, so the Air Force brought him to Colorado, and that's how we met.
Now, has he been to Vietnam? Since
No, he
that?
hasn't yet. We need to go someday.
Does he want to
But
go? Does he want to go?
he does. My parents just do tell scary stories, so he gets a little scared and nervous to go. But I'm like, it's fine. It's really
What's
safe
a
there. So
scary
it's
story? Tell me a scary story.
um, gosh, I can't think of it right now. But they would just say like,
Was it way
I
it
don't know.
was during the war? Is that how they tell it?
Well, like if you walk down the street, there'd be like pickpocketers, or Vietnamese people are very confrontational. So if they don't like something, they'll say it, kind of thing. But I don't think it might be like that for Americans visiting, maybe Vietnamese to Vietnamese people, but we're just very like open, very honest and stuff. And I think my husband has a hard time with that. He's from a small town of like 4,000 people in Arkansas, so he's not very used to it.
So I assume you've been to Arkansas, correct?
Yeah, we go every year. We're actually about to go for Thanksgiving in a few
Oh,
weeks.
that's nice. And is your husband is he have brothers, sisters? All right.
Yeah, he has an older sister, and
And
we're
the,
visiting his parents. Yeah.
and the Clintons are from Arkansas, are they not?
Uh-huh. Yeah, they are.
Where does he live in? Where was he living in Arkansas?
He's from Dartnell, very, very small town, but Arkansas is made up of a bunch of small towns anyways.
Do you like it when you go down there? Do you really like it?
I mean, there's not much to do, but it's kind of nice to get out there and disconnect for a little bit and just kind of get out in the country and have some fun and pretty much do nothing and just relax. So I didn't enjoy it at first when I was younger, but as I got older, I'm like, oh, it's kind of nice to get out here and just do nothing for a week.
Less of a hassle than in Colorado Springs, Denver area. I'm sure it's so much more laid back.
Yeah, way laid back. So it's just nice to relax. His parents' house have a nice pond and stuff. We go fishing. We do a bunch of stuff outside. So it's really nice.
And you mentioned to them that I'd love to come there for Thanksgiving also, if they'd invite me.
Yeah, come over, come have some dinner with us.
Just send me, yeah, just give me their address and I'll just sort of pop in, tell them I want to get to a slower life because we're in Washington, D.C. and this is not a slow life. No. But anyway, tell us about, when you were 18, what happened? You're basically writing a blog, all right, called CPA Mom. And what is that blog about?
Yeah, so I created this blog earlier this year. It's called the CPA Mom. It's a way to connect with other accountants that are also they're accountants, CPAs. They're also moms. So my story is I actually had my daughter at a very young age. I actually got pregnant with her in high school and had her at 18. So, I was a single teen parent trying to figure out life, at a young age, and I discovered accounting. So I went back to a community college, started school part-time, eventually worked my way up to going to school full-time while working and, raising my daughter. So I ended up
all in Colorado, by the way. This was all so you went to a community college in Colorado.
To start out, then I transferred to UCCS, University of Colorado Springs, and that's where I finished my degree and got my master's. So I ended up finishing my degree around age 24, and I got my master's and my CPA a year later at 25. And I really struggled trying to find somebody to connect with. A lot of the resources I found online or talked to people, I felt like a lot of them, weren't going through what I was going through. Like they were studying full time or just focused on school, or they didn't have a kid to raise. So I just felt like I had trouble connecting with somebody and I had trouble balancing these things. But after I finished my CPA, I'm like, there's a lot of people. I found out there's a lot of moms out there or parents or whatever that are struggling and need help. So I decided to start this blog and write about my journey of how I did it. And I write about how I passed as a working mom, which master's degree I decide, resources I use as a military spouse. So I've also talked to many military spouses. They didn't know that there's this program out there that pays for your tests and helps you with your resume. So I write about all the resources I have, and I give some free resources to people to help them through their journey and know that they could do it as a working parent, as a mom. They can become an accountant. They can become a CPA.
Are you happy you went into accounting before you took the CPA? Were you happy majoring in accounting?
I mean, a couple classes made me cry a couple times,
They
but
did. Oh, that's terrible.
but
which course made you cry? I'm just curious. Which one is that?
Tax.
Tax.
I love tax, but that was just a hard class.
How did the gentleman teach tax? Did he? How are his exams? I'm just curious because my tax instructor in college gave open book. All right. He gave questions with fill in the blanks.
Oh my God, I wish.
Yeah. So you don't wish. No, that was terrible. All right.
So UCCS was really focused at that time to become one of the top CPA schools in Colorado, which I believe they are now. But at that time, they were changing the program towards that. So I actually had the same questions on the CPA exam as my tests in school and my homework. It was very difficult, but I learned a lot and it really paid off.
And let me go back here. You liked accounting, except for the fact that it was difficult. You found certain subjects. How did you know you wanted to be an accountant, though?
So I actually wanted to be a teacher originally, but I was just really scared and nervous going into teaching. There was a lot of layoffs at that time when I entered college. And then when I started community college, I took some business classes. I was actually running a franchisee with my mom. I was a nail tech. And so I decided to take some business classes. And then that's where I discovered accounting. And I actually really enjoyed it. I'm a very detail-oriented person. I actually created what would be like a paper version of spreadsheets and to track stuff when I was younger, and which I didn't realize that was kind of similar to accounting. And I really love finance. So when I took my first accounting class, I actually put it off. I took a bunch of business classes and put off accounting because I was scared. I actually declared the major.
Okay, you froze about a minute ago, and you were talking about your nail tech situation. Okay.
Okay. Okay,
Why don't you
I'll
go ahead?
restart.
I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Oh, no worries. I was actually a nail tech. I was a franchisee with my mom, this nail salon. So I started taking business classes at the community college, and that's where I discovered accounting. I had no idea what accountants were or what they did. I just heard about it. I didn't know. But when I took the business classes, I really loved it. And I got introduced to accounting by another student. I actually, and it just sounded something I really liked, like finance and spreadsheets and just organizing and all that. So I declared accounting as my major, but I actually didn't take an accounting class at that point. I was actually really scared because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was just so young. So when I finally did take the accounting classes, I got like the top grade in the class and I did really well and I just loved it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my thing. This is for me. So I just went with it and kept going with it since then.
Did you consider finance as a major, a possibility?
I did. I did consider finance as a major, but it seemed like finance people with their job is more kind of going out and talking to people, and which we do in accounting. But that was one I was interested in. I kind of just wanted to kind of sit back and work on my spreadsheet, work my work. So that's kind of why I chose accounting. And I actually really enjoy it. So I'm really glad I chose it.
Now, do you get to speak to people like, giving a talk on your background, or you don't have a fear of public speaking, do you?
No, I don't have a fear of public speaking.
So do you do public speaking, talking to them about the background or what you went through?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't done any public speaking event, but talking to people, I talk to them. I don't just randomly bring it up, but when somebody's going through a hard time or going through similar situations, and also my blog is an outlet, but I would bring it up and talk about it and let them know that they can do it too.
How often do you write the blog?
So I also started as a creative outlet. At first I was kind of starting every 2 weeks, every month, but now I just kind of write anytime I get inspired, or a lot of times people would actually write me. They're like, hey, what order should I take the CPA exam? So then I'll write an article on which order to take the CPA exam. So if anyone reaches out to me with any resource or any question, I'll write about it right away. Or when I have some creativity comes to me, I'll write.
Do you get a lot of questions from military spouses about, what the CPA is like, that type of thing?
I get a lot of questions from a lot of people. I think military spouses, they're very specific on what resources they could use through the military with the exam. But I also have a lot of friends and coworkers and, anyone who's going to CPA and they hear you're CPA, they want to ask questions. They want to know what's going on and your experience.
Is it's only spouses who are in accounting, is that correct? Or are they already CPAs or are they going to be CPAs?
A mix of both. I've met CPA spouses or people who are testing or going through the process.
Because as you know, this nice young lady, Megan Lefchek, who worked for me, I never say someone worked for me, it sounds terrible. She worked with me, and she really was a very good student. She went to the University of Denver, and she's done well. I mean, she actually took the CMA exam also. And I don't know what is she what is she doing now? Is she still dealing with military wives, that type of thing?
Yeah, she actually created a group for military spouse CPAs, which she actually invited me to join. We had to meet up and talk to each other and share resources. And she did mention Yaeger, and that's how I came to know you guys, and she loved working with you guys. But it's great to connect with other CPA spouses, especially the biggest issue that comes up for spouses is moving to a different jurisdiction and getting their licensure. They have their own firm or finding a job that will work with them and their schedule, especially with deployment or moving around and stuff. So that's a big topic that we have between CPA military spouses.
When you graduated school, you were living in Colorado, correct? All right. And you had to obviously you have to be licensed. All right. You're licensed in Colorado. Is that where you became licensed?
Yeah. So I'm kind of like the unicorn in military spouses. My husband has only been stationed here for 14 years. He originally was enlisted. He's a space operator, is a satellite operator in space. And most of the work is here in Colorado Springs. And then he got out enlisted around 6 years shortly after we got married, and then he became a reservist. So he's still full-time military. We get all the full benefits, but we don't move. So
Oh,
I
that's good.
fortunately,
That's the worst thing.
yeah,
Relocation all the time. Yeah.
yeah. So I fortunately haven't dealt with that, but I could definitely um, understand how the difficulties the other spouses face dealing with it.
What was the experience requirement in Colorado? Did you, and if, you know, did you have trouble getting the license? What did you work for a CPA firm?
Yeah, I didn't have trouble getting a license. So while I was in college, I was part of this group. I was president of this club called Accounting Honor Society. So what we did was we reached out to firms in the area and had them come in and host an event to hire students. So I was able to get hired at one of the CPA firms through that. I started out as a tax consultant, and then I moved on to but then I realized I didn't want to just do tax. I'm the type of person, like, I want to try everything, I want to do everything. So I switched to a small firm where I worked part-time while doing my master's, my CPA, and I did tax auditing and bookkeeping there. So for me, the hours weren't difficult. It was 1,800 hours, which could be done within a year if you work full-time. For me, it took 2 years because I was working part-time with my schedule. And then from there, I did work for another firm as well before switching to the government.
Now, is that 1,800 hours working in a CPA firm, or 1,800 hours made up of, you have to have some attest function? Did you do some auditing? Do some of those hours have to be in auditing?
No, so the hours just has to be under CPA. It doesn't matter where work it is, whether it's tax or auditing, it just has to be under CPA here. So that makes it nice, but I do have some friends who find it difficult to find jobs under CPA. They might work for a private company where their controller or CFO let their CPA license lapse and stuff like that. So there are some challenges with that. So working in a CPA firm made it a little easier because, you know, you have to be a CPA there.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing, is a lot of people pass the exam, and then in most jurisdictions, it's usually working 1 year in a CPA firm or 1 year under a CPA who can sign off on your license. And I mean, how many people are dealing with that problem, do you find?
I would say about a third of my friends who are going through the CPA thing or finding a job to hire them out of school, which is part of what we set up the club, but also, you know, there are a lot of people hiring, but to find the right fit for you and what you want to do, that's also difficult as well. And then here in Colorado, when I was testing, they just switched. I think we were one of the last states to switch to the 150-hour requirement. So a lot of firms were dealing with that. They're like, oh, like, these people can't work, you know, 65 hours all the time. Like, they have to finish their masters too before they can even get, or take extra. Masters is only one route, but they have to get the 150 hours before it was 120. Like, how do we deal with that, and trying to figure that out as well?
I remember Colorado was one of the last states to have the 150 hours, and they had the bachelor's degree only. And a lot of people, I don't think you had a residency. Anybody, you know, people became licensed in, you know, Colorado. And the reason, I remember the governor, his reason was that there was a shortage of accountants. All right. And if they put that 150-hour rule, it was going to affect the number of accountants that they would have in Colorado. Now, I don't know what eventually caused them to change to the 150. I don't know if they got pressure from anybody. Are you aware of that in any way?
I'm not sure, but I know a lot of my friends, because it's been a recent change last couple of years, they'll finish their CPA, they'll finish their CPA exam, their classes, their experience. They'll submit the application for the CPA, and they'll come back saying you're missing classes and you have 90 days to fix it. So they'll quickly enroll into an online class for 8 weeks and to try to get the 150 hours or the very specific courses they need. So that actually has been a huge challenge. Most of my friends, actually like half of my friends, if they didn't go to UCCS, went to a different college or moved to Colorado, they ended up having to take a class after they thought they were done with everything and they were ready to be CPA. So that has been a big challenge as well.
But I think, how many of them that write to you in your blog or whatever, how many of them really have not found a state to be licensed in?
I don't think that finding a state is too much because the residency isn't a requirement. Like some spouses reach out to me, but like I meet all the requirements here, but we're moving here. I don't meet it here and stuff like that. I tell them just to, if there's a residency requirement, to get their license in the state that they qualify for. You know, you don't, if you're living in Colorado, you don't have to have a license in Colorado to practice, depending on what you do. You might.
Right.
Yeah.
You only need the
So-
license if you can open up a firm or do accounting work and you want to be licensed in that state, okay? But if you're going to work for the government or a corporation, you can be licensed any place.
Exactly. So I tell people that, like, if you meet a requirement somewhere, get it there. Like, so don't stop, like, keep going and get it.
Yeah, I mean, National Association of State Boards of Accounting, NASBA, I think they have something where if you're having trouble getting licensed, all right, you can pay a fee to them. They will look at your experience requirement and see if it's of such that you can get licensed in some of the states that they're affiliated with. I mean, like, I think Colorado is one of those, Montana, you know. Now, that was 6 months ago, all right? I have not kept up whether they still have that program, but that's a big problem, you know. Where do you get licensed? A lot of people say, gee, I passed this exam, all right? I don't want to work in public accounting, or I'm going to work for the federal government and I don't work under a CPA. So I have a terrible time getting the experience requirement, all right? But I think they've made it more difficult now because most states say 1 year in a CPA firm or 1 year under a CPA. So they're actually cutting out people who are going from the CPA exam to the federal government, and they don't have the experience requirement. And I'm not sure if that's turning people off or not, you know, because there's less people taking the exam.
Yeah, I know one thing that when I talked to some of my coworkers about is they were originally pursuing a CPA or thinking about it or considering it, but then they discovered there are other license they could get that might benefit them more, like a CIA or CFE or a CMA. I think, you know, like CPA is known as the gold standard because you do a little bit of everything, and the process to get there, the experience, the education is very high, is very well respected. But a lot of people are realizing they don't need a CPA license to do what they need to do. They could get a different license, like a CMA. Like for me, I do auditing. So a CMA, they're like, okay, well, I've done auditing. I have the years of experience. I can get that license, and that will help me get ahead in my career. So I think with all the new licenses coming out, people are looking at those as well.
Yeah, they're going to CMA because it doesn't require any experience requirement. You don't need the 5th year of college or school. And a lot of people are turned off with that 5th year because they have to pay for another year of tuition, that type of thing. And actually, the concern I have is that the number of people taking the exam is dropping. It's dropping, all right? And that's why they're coming up with this. I'm not going to talk about it with you right now, but there's that CPA evolution that they're dealing with, all right? But, you know, are you familiar with that at all?
I know a little bit about it. I've read briefly about it, but I don't have a deep understanding of it.
Neither does most people, okay? But, all right, supposedly they'll let you specialize in different areas, all right? But this is the icing on the cake, all right? In order to get the license, you still have to work in a CPA firm, either 1 year or under a CPA for 1 year. So even though it looks like, hey, they're becoming, hey, they're smart. They know we're specializing in different areas and not necessarily public accounting. But when it comes down to the experience requirement, they still want to put you into public accounting. All right.
Yeah. And not everyone wants to do public accounting. You know, like the CPA could be used so many places. So, and I wonder if the 150 hour has made it drop as well.
Well, they're saying in articles I've read that the 150 hours more or less is, you know, that ship has already sailed. All right.
Okay.
And in order to remove that, they'd have to get every state legislature, all right, to agree to that. And there is no way in the world that's going to happen. All right.
Yeah.
So the IMA which is the CMA you mentioned. All right. Have you thought about getting the CMA, by the way?
I did at one point, but after testing for the CPA, I'm like, I'm good. I'm good with one designation right now.
No, I understand that. And, but the IMA is in there. They're saying they know the problem people are having. All right. They're getting tired. They don't want to take the CPA. All right. They are pushing that CMA, and it's becoming very big overseas and also in the States. And it's increasing, I think, I'm not sure if it's domestic or foreign, but it's increased by 66%, the number of people going for the CMA. In fact, Megan, all right, who's a CPA, all right, she took the CMA and she's both. All right. Now, I don't know, once again, I don't know why she went for the CMA. I know why she went for the CPA, but, the AICPA has to do something because they, in 2 years, they're going to change this exam all over again. All right. And it's going to become even more complicated because they're putting a lot of IT on the auditing part of the exam. And a lot of this has not been tested in universities. And this is one other big problem. All right. They are telling the universities, we are going to set the curriculums for every university, every school. All right. And these universities do not want to be told what their curriculum has to be. All right. But this thing is going forward. And I think it's going to come to a point where someone's going to say, wait a minute. All right. We got to think about this thing before we change it. All right. I don't know if they're thinking about, they think about the decline, but they're not thinking about a way of solving it.
Yeah. I think they need a different approach towards this.
Yeah, because
seeing what it is.
It's made a change in your life, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it definitely has.
Yeah, and just about everyone I talk to says the same thing. Hey, Phil, all right, this has changed my life. With the CPA, I can do basically, all right, you worked in public accounting, but now you work for the DCAA. By the way, do you like doing audits, government audits?
I do. Actually, I'm surprised how challenging it is. I think there's a misperception out there. The government employees, we don't do much. Or maybe I have that perception out there. Like it's just like a 9 to 5, but I am learning so much. There's so many, in public accounting, all I did was financial auditing. But here I'm doing like a cost accounting, incurred cost audit, for pricing audits, accounting system audits. I'm doing a lot of different types of work, and it's actually faster paced than I thought, and I'm learning so much.
Where are you work out of your house? You working out of your house or the office?
Right here. So I'm working in my office.
That's not bad.
Yeah, so I'm working from home. I am so I'm a residential auditor. So any audits that's over $1 billion, they get assigned residential auditors, and they also have a mobile office that's very much like public accounting, where they go to different government contracts and audit. So I'm at the residential one. Before COVID, which I did not work before COVID, I actually got this job during COVID. They would go into the office, the contract office, twice a week and work from home the rest of the week. But since I've worked here, I started joining COVID, I actually only worked from home. I've only been in the office once for a few hours to get my badge.
It's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's awesome. And it's great. I get to stay home and work in my pajamas.
What is your commute? 2 minutes? You go from the bedroom to where your office is downstairs?
Yeah, I have to walk down the stairs. So
good exercise though.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't like exercise, so I still have to share that with you. The thing is, does the DCAA still encourage people to get the CPA or another designation where they don't care?
Honestly, I don't think they care. Like none of my supervisors have their CPA. I think 2 other people on my team of 15 have their CPA. They do support it. They do help pay for it. And I think I'm not exactly sure everything they do, but they do support it and help with it. I was able to get out of some training because of my CPA license, but they're very supportive of the CPA. They do data on it. I think a huge portion of actually our company is CPA. I think about 30%. So
what do they take? CIA, Certified Internal Auditor? Do they have that designation?
There are other 5 designations that they highly recognize. I can't remember what they were, But there are 5, and I didn't even know what the 4 other were. And my coworkers have different designation. Like one has the CFE.
Certified fraud examiner?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
she's the certified fraud examiner. But CPA is not highly pushed. There's so many licenses they look
Because at
at.
one time, the auditors at DCAA were encouraged to take the CPA,
Mhm.
right? But I think that's been sort of a turnoff because it's so hard to get, so difficult to take, you know?
Yeah.
And you're not really doing anything with you don't do anything with the attest function, do you? I mean, do you get involved with, it's generally accepted accounting principles, isn't it? That you're
Yeah.
dealing with? All right.
Yeah. We
What
do a lot
kind
of
of
yellow
accounting
book.
principles do you have in government auditing?
So we do a lot of yellow book, a
Okay.
lot of CAS accounting, CAS. So GAGIS, CAS, yeah, and then actually have a lot FAR. So actually part of the process is I actually go into these regulation sites. I'll read they have like a set system for each audit and set regulations, and I would go through and read like the FAR guidance, the CAS guidance, the GAGIS guidance to see how I approach the audit and how I want to go about my work papers.
So when you joined DCAA, all right, you learned all these other pronouncements on the job?
I was actually working in government in public accounting before that. But yeah, they did give us training. CAS I was not familiar with because cost accounting, this is my first job doing cost accounting, but they have incredible training. We do 6 weeks of training, and they do go over these guidance with us, and it's very hands-on. They would give us like fake work papers that were actual real stuff that they worked on, and they put in training for us, and we actually go through the whole thing and work on it as a team together. It's like 6 weeks of training, and then we do another certificate training on top of that. I've never had so much training in my life.
But you enjoy it, right? You enjoy it?
I do. I like the support. Like I feel like in public accounting, I did get training, and they were very helpful. But I feel like you get thrown out there a little bit more, and here they kind of, which you do get thrown out here, but they really do support you with the amount of training that you get.
They don't just send you out on an audit yourself and say, learn it, do they? Or do they train you? Is there someone to look to? Is there someone to look to?
So we have 6 weeks of training.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And where was the training, in Colorado Springs, or where did you
So it's normally in Atlanta, Georgia, but since COVID, it's online now. So I did it all online. But before they would send you 2 weeks at a time for like the first 3 months to Atlanta, Georgia, and they have a school out there and they train you. But I did it here at my desk at home.
No, that's great. I mean, that's, if you enjoy it, that's the most important thing,
Yes.
If you enjoy what you do every day, that's very important. The worst thing is doing, obviously, a job where you hate going every day.
Oh, yeah.
I don't care if you're doing it out of your house or not. Let me ask you, if you were, by the way, I just wanted to mention this, the #1 city who listens to these podcasts is Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, that's
right?
awesome.
We're #1 in Atlanta, Georgia. And I forget, I think the third, I'm trying to remember the states, but anyway, I just want to throw out hello to Atlanta. Thank you for watching the podcast and listening to them. Let's talk about one last thing, all right? Do you want people to, how do you want to help people? Through the blog? Is that what you're trying to do? Do you want more people to contact you?
Yeah, I mean, they're welcome to contact me. I have my email on there, I have my social media on there. I have people write me messages to get help and support. But that's how I just kind of write about my journey, and hopefully somebody could relate and help them through theirs.
So you are, in order to get in touch with you, you're on LinkedIn, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. My website is thecpamom.com, and my email is also on there.
And you will help them with, once again, what are the things you help them with?
Like, for example, actually, most of my articles are written because people ask me questions. Like, for example, one person's like, I'm not sure which order should I take the CPA exam. So I wrote an article on that, very detailed. Or they're like, I don't know how to balance working and being a mom. So I created a template, like a schedule template, and I kind of walk them through like how they can create a schedule that works best for them to study and figure out their test date and stuff like that. So I have a couple of free resources and articles where I walk them walk people through stuff that they've come up and asked me.
What do you tell the moms as far as taking the CPA exam or not taking it? What exactly do you tell them?
I tell them, I think a lot of people, even me, I had a misconception where my whole life needs to revolve around the exam. And I actually, I passed my first exam regs, the tax one, when I was going to school full time. I was in between jobs, so I decided to focus on the exam for a couple weeks. But then I went into my job and I was still doing my master's and everything. And I failed 3 exams in a row. And I thought my whole life had to revolve around it. And after failing those exams, I realized, no, my exams revolve around my life. So I kind of changed things around. I created a schedule. I'm like, wait, I work this time. I take my daughter to dance. I also practice martial arts and stuff. So I'm like, let me do a schedule of everything I need to do, or work on homework or do whatever. And then put the exam when I have time. So I would actually study. I'm a night person. I'm a night owl. So I would study from 8 p.m. after my daughter went to bed to midnight each night. And then I finished. So I would do that. And then on Saturdays, and then every Sunday I would take it off, spend time with my family, go out and do things with them, but I just focused on the exam, like around my schedule, my life. And I was able to finish it. I actually had a deadline since I passed regs. I had, 18 months to pass. So I failed for 6 months, took 5 months off to finish my master's. Once I got done my master's, it took 6 months and I finished OD, BC, and FAR within that period. Just studying 4 hours a night. I did do FAR full time. I negotiated with the tax partner. So April 16th through June 5th, I studied 8 hours a day for FAR and passed. But I think a lot of people think that their whole life needs to revolve around it. I'm like, no, you don't. Like, you have kids, you have to cook dinner, you have to clean, you have to spend time with your family.
That's true.
And you need to put the exam around your life. And I think also another thing, I see a lot of moms are like, I want to get it over as fast as I can. And they schedule the exam way quicker than they're ready. They're like, I'm going to schedule in 5 weeks. I'm like, no, like, get into a study routine, figure out, let's say you get through one module a night or whatever it is. After a couple weeks, you'll know, you can create a schedule and you'll know exactly what you need to do. Like, okay, I can test in like 8 weeks. And I tell them, like, dude, I took 5 months off the CPA exam. I still finished in 18 months. I'm like, if you can only study 2 hours a night, let's say 8 to 10, do it. Schedule the exam in 3 months, not 5 weeks, like, just be consistent. And, you have a life, and that's okay to have a life in a CPA exam. So that's why I tell a lot of moms, like, just take your time with it. There's no rush. I mean, there is an 18-month window, but like, you can do it. Like, just be consistent. Get
As
into
long
a
as you
schedule.
stick to the plan, right? You gotta come up with a plan and stick to it.
And I tell them to leave buffer time in. Like, I would leave an extra week of review, or I would put buffer time a week, like, oh, like, my daughter had an awards ceremony today, so I'm not going to study. I'm going to focus on her, but I know I can make it up Sunday morning or whatever, a different time. So
last thing, what do you do with martial arts? What exactly are you doing with that?
Yeah, so I practice hybrid Hapkido.
You beat me up.
Oh, easily. No, just kidding.
You're absolutely right. No, but anyway, what do you do in martial arts?
So I actually joined during that period. I told you I failed, but I took 5 months off. I actually joined martial arts during that time. I had a great time. So I do hybrid Hapkido. It's
I'm sorry, what was that? I
hybrid Hapkido. It's what I practice.
Hapkido. Okay, what's that?
So it's a South Korean form of martial arts. It's a lot of circles in the movement. So like half the week we do kind of traditional martial arts where, like, punching and kicking. The other half of the week we do sparring, self-defense, weapons and stuff. So I have a lot of fun with that. It's a family class. I do it with my daughter. My husband didn't like it. He quit. My son's only 2, so I'm going to join him soon when he's old enough. But it's a lot of fun. I have a great time with it. And I'm actually, sorry, one more thing with that. A lot of people think they have to give up working out and their whole life and everything for the CPA exam. I'm like, no, you need to make sure you work out and do all this stuff still while you're studying. That actually helps it.
You don't teach these classes, do you?
I help out because I'm a brown belt. I've been doing about 4 years. So I'm kind of
belt. Wow. What's the level of belts? What are they? Where's the brown fall?
The brown, so there's brown, red, and black. So I'm almost there, like 3 or 4 years from there, but this is a very great place. they work us. Like I have to have my kicks over my head and do a lot of things before I get my black belt. They definitely don't hand it to you here.
That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't tell my wife though, because she'll say, you got to do more exercise. All right.
Okay.
She actually, unfortunately, 6 years ago, she got Parkinson's. All right.
Oh no.
But she's so much more organized than I am. And
Mhm.
every day she does exercises, and they do a boxing for them. And, if I had that, I am not the type that if they tell me to do exercises Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all right, I probably would let it go. I would never think about the end result. But she actually does boxing. And when we had the pandemic, they went on, it's Zoom call. It's like a Zoom thing. And she used to go to the classes, but now, she does it on, she has like, her TV, and she does boxing. Now she hasn't beat anybody up, but she has her pink boxing gloves, and she's going like this, and the instructor is on the TV. And now they had one day where they had a Parkinson's day, all right, and I went there with the other people, and I was able to box with the person who does the physical therapy for that, all right. And she says, "You want to box?" I said, "Yeah, I guess I've never done that." So she started doing this and this, and I did that. And I would say after 5 minutes, I was tired.
Yeah. I'm covered in sweat after, but it sounds like you should not piss off your wife at all.
Well, good. We've been married 53 years.
Oh, wow.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
She's only 4'7.5", so, but I know I don't want to piss her off.
No.
She
Yeah,
can
it
be-
doesn't work out.
She's faster than I am, even with the Parkinson's, when, no, I don't want to get her angry. It's
No.
funny. My aunt, who's deceased, she was only about 4'9", and I'm finding that people, I shouldn't stereotype, but I'm finding that people who are shorter height, all right, they have a bigger temper. So, but my wife, she's put up with me for a long time, and
Oh, okay. That's
yeah,
good.
and we have a good relationship. We have one child. She just turned 50.
Oh,
Makes me feel-
wow.
Yeah, I got a 50-year-old daughter who's complaining she's getting old looking. And then I have an 18-year-old granddaughter and a 15-year-old grandson. And I might have told you this, the 18-year-old is in her first year of college at University of Alabama.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're going this weekend to visit her. So we have to fly from Washington, D.C. And the football, they're number one. They were number one in football, but their stadium holds 100,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Yeah. Alabama takes their football seriously down
And
there.
their revenue that they
Mhm.
put, the revenue comes from that sports. They're big on all these sports. So it'll be interesting to go there. Actually, I'm afraid to get on a plane. I've been on a plane for 2 years.
Yeah. Oh, wait. No, I went to Vegas a couple months ago. Never mind. But
Oh,
I
you
didn't
did?
go with my
I love
kids.
Vegas. What'd you do in Vegas?
I just kind of hung out. So Martial Arts Studio, they actually do a giveaway. So we actually won a Las Vegas giveaway before COVID, and finally we're able to win. So we were able to go around, sightseeing.
Where did you go? Where did you go to Vegas? When did you go to Vegas?
So in May.
Oh, so it's fairly recently. And so where did they let you stay? Where did you stay there?
We stayed at the Caesar Hotel. It was
Oh,
pretty
that's
decent.
beautiful. That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful hotel. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
I don't know if I love food, unfortunately. The food in Vegas is really good.
Yeah, that was my favorite activity there, was eating for sure.
But I can see, even though you must be, you're so thin. Is this how thin you are, like that? You don't gain weight,
Yeah.
do you?
No.
I don't like people like you. Because I look at food, I gain weight. So yeah, but I commend you on, yes, I wouldn't start a fight with you. I definitely wouldn't.
Okay,
But
I'm glad.
there's
I
no
look
reason
very
to
tough.
there's no
Yeah.
reason to start a fight with a nice person like you. So,
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've had a great time talking to you on this. This is
oh,
awesome.
thank you. And I appreciate your husband's service. And also, I appreciate what you're doing with the military wives. All right. I mean, I know that blog is probably giving him a lot of direction. All right. And I know that Megan does a lot. Megan Lefchuk does a lot with that. And her husband is in the Air Force and she's down in Hawaii, which doesn't sound too bad to me.
No, I would love to be in Hawaii right
cold
now.
Here. You know, it's cold here during the winter. But no, I remember when she was working for us, I'd call her and say, Megan, what's the temperature there today? And I was looking for trouble. Meanwhile, it's 30 here. She says, oh, it's same day. It's about 78, 80. So I said, I don't like you. I'm not going to talk to you again. All right. But no, that's not bad. And I hope she's still happy down there. And I hope her husband is doing well. And I hope you're going to stay what you're doing. And hopefully we will touch base again with you sometime. And once again, if you're a military wife who's a CPA or not a CPA, all right, you go on LinkedIn and you put CPA mom, all right, and then look at her blog. I'm sure it's very interesting. I have not looked at it, but I will. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anyway, I want to thank everyone again for watching our podcast. And also, all right, if you have comments, you can go on, who has these? Spots? God, this is terrible. I don't know who runs our podcast. All right?
Spotify.
Spotify. Thank you very much. That's why I need her here. She fills in my blanks. All right. Spotify. All right. And make comments. We get some nice comments that they enjoy listening to this and watching it. And, keep asking and tell us what you want to hear or see. All right. I'll do my best to get people on there who can, give you information. So I want to wish everyone the best. And you'll probably be watching this sometimes after the holiday or during the holiday. So the best of holidays to everybody, and stay safe, be healthy. And once again, what I've noticed with this pandemic is people are not that nice. All right. They've gotten worse. So, I was called someone the other day, a mental case. This guy was standing on line with me at the post office. And I was about 5 feet away from him. I think he was going to take out a ruler. All right. And he said to me, you're getting too close to me. You're a mental case. And I said, oh my God. I said, what's wrong with people? But anyway, be kind to people. All right. Hey, that's all we have in this country, in this world, people. So be pleasant. You have to be nasty. All right. So everyone, take care. Shay, thank you very much. And you take care and continued success with your blog and your job. And I'm sorry, how many children do you have again?
2.
Boy, girl, what are they?
One of each.
One of each. Okay, good. And how old are they, if I may ask?
Yeah, so my daughter's 10 and then my son's 2.
Oh, gee. Are they in the terrible twos yet, your son?
Oh my God, I started at 1.
They're all terrible, aren't they? No, enjoy them. It goes by very quickly. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for being on the podcast. I appreciate it tremendously.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I had a great time. And of course your company has done a lot of amazing stuff. So keep up with that too.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And happy holiday to you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Take care, everyone. We'll see you again.